Hello, Miss Peterson. Hi, Dr. Peterson. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for participating. I'm looking forward to your question.
Thank you for taking my call. So, to begin, I work as a school counselor in a middle school and a high school setting. So, over the last few years, the job has become more and more taxing to my own mental health. I'm navigating these waters of the children and their issues, but uh, I'm almost becoming increasingly numb to their issues, my own personal issues, and familial issues. To add a little bit more of a background, my parents are getting older. My father is a retired New York City fireman, so he deals a lot of the trauma just from the job and, of course, 9/11. And my mother, God bless her. She's going through her very own mental health challenges right now. She's struggling a lot, and she's in and out of therapies. So my sisters have looked at me as almost like the pseudo parent, to parent them, to make decisions for the family, to coordinate events, to coordinate emotions and doctor's appointments. It's simultaneously moving forward as this job is becoming more taxing. So I just need assistance in navigating these waters. They're becoming older, and I'm not sure I can keep pace with their needs as well as keeping a sane mind.
How many sisters do you have?
I have two younger siblings.
How much
Two,
younger?
1 year younger and 4 years younger.
How's your communication with them?
We're extremely close. Whether it's text or phone calls, or seeing each other on weekends.
Okay, let's start with that. Well, I would say the first thing I would say about your situation is that what you're essentially reporting is that you have too many concerns on your plate. Now, that might be situational, and there's a situational element to it. It might also be that you haven't learned well enough to detach yourself from the suffering for enough. Like, one of the dangers of being a caring person is that you're carrying the burdens of other people all the time. Well, you can't do that because you die, and then you're useless. And so one of the things you have to do as a caring person is you have to direct some of that care toward yourself and understand that you're in a medium to long-term game. You don't want to bear the burden of the children that you serve and your parents and your sisters so intently that it just drives you into the ground, because then you're another person in need of care, and that addition of misery to the world is not helpful. So you're going to have to determine just exactly how much of a load you can iteratively carry. And look, every person in a helping profession has to deal with this. I don't know how many kids you can see a day. I don't know how much time you need away from that concern. You have to play with this. You're going to need time every day where you don't think about the kids and you don't think about your parents and your sister, and time when you do and you adopt your responsibilities, and then you have to negotiate with yourself until you find out how much of that you can take so that you're not terrified when you wake up in the morning. And that's a way of discovering who you are. Like, there's going to be a load you can carry, and there's going to be a load you can't carry. And you might be able to learn to increase the load as you get more efficient and you get more resilient, but it's not unreasonable for you to have a limit. So you need to back off from the responsibilities until your ability to move forward in the job and with your parents is reestablished. And you'll have to play with that. And that'll mean training yourself once you leave work, for example, not to think about work. And to take to yourself not only the moral right to do that, but the moral responsibility to do that. Driving yourself into the ground is not a good solution. It's not an ethical solution. It'd be better if you stayed in the world and were helpful. Okay, now on the side with your sisters, how old are you?
I'm 32 years old.
Okay, and so your sisters are in their late 20s. Okay, so you guys, it's possible that you need to have a practical meeting with your sisters for an hour once a week or once every 2 weeks and parse out the responsibilities. If you do that, well, then you'll learn to work together as a unit, and you should be able to make the complicated situation with your parents as the least amount complicated possible over the next few decades, and you'll be able to work together to distribute the workload in the manner that's optimized so that you can all do it. If you don't set aside that time, it sounds to me, if you don't set aside that time, that time is going to be demanded of you when you're least likely to manage it. Instead, you could set up a meeting with your sisters at their convenience after you've all eaten so that you're accustomed to it, and you could learn to work together so that the responsibilities are distributed. Now, people aren't generally that good at negotiating, and so you got to lay down some rules, which is, well, why are we doing this? To have the least amount of hell possible, and so that we can serve our parents and ourselves most effectively, and maybe make our relationship grow while we do it. Establish your joint aim. Then the next rule is, well, everybody brings their concerns to the table, everybody listens, and no one is forced to do anything against their will, right? So if everyone understands the game and you develop that trust, then they'll be able to do it. Then the next rule is, if you get upset during the meeting, you can leave, but you have to come back. And then the next rule is, everybody accepts the best solution that can be generated, unless they can come up with a better solution. And so I would set aside some time right away to start talking to your sisters and distributing the responsibility properly. So
I think, and this is something I had to figure out, because I realized when I was 25 that I was becoming resentful by doing too much for other people because I thought that was the right thing to do. And this was having you as a dad who had told me that this could happen to people, but it took me a while to realize that it was happening to me. And it took a number of years to figure out I really had to internally listen to the little voice that goes, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to do that. And for agreeable people who are compassionate, in the beginning, it feels extremely selfish to say, I don't want to do that. But you have to listen to that little voice, and you have to tell people, I don't want to do that and I can't handle it. And I think it's reasonable that if people are coming to you, this is more family related than the kids, but if your sisters are coming to you because they don't want to do it, and you also don't want to do it, then you have to negotiate how to figure that out. But it's not immoral to say, I don't want to do this. You have to listen to that.
The right attitude to take to that is that you should listen to yourself like you would listen to someone that you care for, that you're taking care of.
Like your sister.
Exactly. And so that's how to calibrate. If you're an agreeable person and you're dealing with the problem you just described, what simulation do you run? Pretend you're someone you care about, right? And then you say, well, if I was dealing with my sister and she had this concern, how would I treat her? Well, treat yourself that way, right? Like, there are narcissists who are selfish, and then there are agreeable people who are like reverse narcissists. Everyone else comes first. And there is being selfish in the self-centered way, that's not good. But taking advantage of yourself counterproductively and becoming bitter and resentful in the service of others, that is not a moral,
hurting yourself.
Yeah, it's not a moral accomplishment. And some of that voice that says, I don't want to do this, can be immaturity, and you have to deal with that. But some of it can be, that's too much.
Or I can't do this.
Yeah, well, that's it. I don't know how, but it's also, I can see that will be too much for me across time. Well, then it's not an acceptable solution. Now, that doesn't mean the acceptable solution is obvious, but a fair bit of that often has to do with negotiation and distribution of responsibility.
We have another caller. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is Brian from New York.
Good to see you.
Thank you. The question I have, several years ago, a severe back injury led to an opioid addiction, failed surgery, a major heart attack, deep depression.